So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again. Today, the 3rd of October, 2025. What happened? Jibo was a wrap yesterday. So, this happened on the outskirts of Jibo. It was a regular patrol, which I feel the enemy forces had already anticipated. They anticipated the timing of that patrol. They launched a quick ambush. Ladies and gentlemen, according to information we received from local sources, this was one of the most ferocious ambush they've ever seen in that location. But unfortunately for the enemy, the VDP had their ground. Now, we do understand the VDP are valiant, they're strong, but the most, devastating Burkinabé assault team is the BIRs. So the VDP were up front and the BIR were coming from behind. It's going to be like a patrol convoy go, and after some minutes, another patrol convoy is going to go. So when the enemy initiated contact with serious firepower, the VDP had their ground, they bought enough time, and immediately the Rapid Intervention Brigade unit joined. The battle changed completely. The dynamic completely changed. Ladies and gentlemen, the enemies recorded severe casualty. When I mean severe, it was severe. It wasn't acute. A severe casualty, ladies and gentlemen. According to what we heard, the local sources that witnessed the carnage of what happened said none of the enemies would have survived it. This was not a situation of surviving the bullet wound or something. According to the information we had, some of this element turned black. A lot of people said it was due to the effect of the lead in the bullet. I don't know if the Burkinabés have actually changed some things about their operation. But ladies and gentlemen, the enemies were leveled beyond recognition. We've actually dropped some of the videos on our Telegram, but this was a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. It was serious exchange of gunfire, and it actually ended with the Burkinabés capturing both weapons, flags, Quran, because some Qurans were there, you could actually see it. They captured bullets, ammunition cage. They captured a lot. And, things like tourniquets, giving sets, scalp vein needle, normal saline, dextrose, some other drugs, antibiotics, and stuff like that. The enemies were crushed beyond recognition. Now, there is this thing, right? After the Burkinabés were able to dominate the tempo of the exchange, the initial exchange, that actually started making some of the JNIM to flee the scene, right? The Rapid Intervention Brigade, from information, now they started pursuing the enemy right inside the bush part. And while they gave pursuit, they crushed about another 5 of them. The video is there. You could actually see the 5 that were crushed. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if these people are actually Burkinabés. They don't resemble Burkinabés. So, we know these people are enemy forces coming from, different places. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? A lot of local sources said there are some of those enemy forces that came from Barabule. But, ladies and gentlemen, this was a devastating message. I don't know how the leadership of this group, how they are able to, how they're able to contend with that reality of you sending a bunch of people out and knowing within your mind that they are not going to return. So you're going to celebrate and say, oh, they became martyred and brother Mujahideen this has met his 72 virgins, clap for him and stuff like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, it just shows that this Burkinabé armed forces, they are different because according to what one of the local sources said, who chose to be anonymous, he said the VDP said they knew that the ambush could happen, that the probability of an ambush happening, as at the time of the contact, they said it was very, very high. That they didn't even leave their camp without knowing that the probability of returning could equally be high too. But they were prepared to hold their ground and defend the citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, that on its own was shocking. That on its own was shocking. So the bodies were brought back to the camp. The motorcycles, that's the language, motorcycles. The weapons were brought back. So, like all those motorcycles, what happens at the end of the day? Yes, let's call it spade a spade. What happens at the end of the day? Redistributed to the people or confiscated? So, ladies and gentlemen, that is that with that. We got the receipts, and if you want to watch the entire receipt, you can go on our Telegram channel. You're going to get everything right there exclusively. That's what we do on the Android community. So, the second one is an information relating Niger Republic, which is part of the AES states, to the AES now. So, the governor of Borno State in Nigeria, right? They call him Governor Zulum, right? He has actually visited the president of Niger, Abdurrahman Chiani. So yesterday he met with some of the delegations of Niger that actually received him. And the reason he actually went to Niger was to discuss security partnership, intelligence sharing, which is the major one, intelligence sharing. Because even me, I won't lie, I am shocked with the level of intelligence that the Nigerians, especially their president, General Abdurrahman Chiani, that man, I don't know, his intelligence network is just, in fact, I think the AAS generally, I don't know who the team that goes about their intelligence. Those guys are just phenomenal. Whatever system they use, man, it's top notch. So the governor of Borno State has now gone there to build a sort of, cross-border collaboration, networking in terms of intelligence sharing and security. Now, which is good. That is if the Borno State governor wants, is really, really intentional, positively intentional about his mission there. Now, on the flip side, my cautionary tale is this. They've shared intelligence with Nigerian security top brass before. And according to the president of Niger, they thought the Nigerian defense network was really, really going to use the intelligence, and they were really, really intentional about fighting terrorism. These were the words of President Abdurrahman Chiani. But the information was passed down to the people whose intelligence were being exposed, right? So I'm just thinking, for how many years now Boko Haram and the rest have been in Borno State, right? So with the governor, and the governor equally has been there. So with the governor now going to Niger Republic, how are we going to have a situation where they give intelligence to the governor? He shares the intelligence with, I don't know if you just know what I'm thinking. That's my cautionary tale. But at the end of the day, I believe if they share intelligence with him and the intelligence gets played, I feel like the AES states are going to know that he's not a serious person. And I'm very, very sure they're going to break contact with him almost immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this development? It's your boy 7200 signing out and offset. But before I go, one last thing. According to what I'm hearing, they said the AES are going to have a united defense industrial complex. What do you think about that move? Ain't it beautiful? Thanks for watching, and God bless you. Much to live it.